Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our third session of Paths to Education, Training and Employment. So we have two more sessions, one today and one next week, which is going to be our final session. In the past 2 weeks, we reviewed the education system, the higher education system here in the UK. I just go very quickly to the slides from one of the slides from previous week just to summarize what we explained and learned together. So we have gone through number one pathway here, academic route, and I explained how this education system does work here in the UK. That's a level-based system starting from level one, which is same level as end of high school here in the UK or anywhere else. So if you have finished your high school in your country and you have a high school diploma, you are in this level one, level two stage. Many of you here in the UK, you are involved in different type of college courses. So you do functional skills level one or level two, ESOL level one or level two, math level one or level two. All of them, they are at this level. To go to university, so if you plan to apply for undergraduate courses, you need to be here at the end of level 3 and ready to start level 4. And then in the last 2 weeks, we have gone through different options, different pathways, different choices that you have if there is a gap for you. So if you don't have a level 3 qualification, which you need to apply for university, we talked about different options. Main one was access to higher education. So you can go to college. If you have a high school diploma, you can go to college, you can start access course, and then next year, you can use that access course to apply for university. In some cases, there are universities who offer programs with foundation year. So instead of 3 years of undergraduate, there are courses with foundation year. So it takes 4 years, and then year one is about preparation, similar to access course. You can do A levels, you can go to college, enroll in an A-level program and then having your A-levels, but then you need to decide which option is the best option for you. If you don't have your high school diploma from your country, then you can have functional skills and you can do your GCSEs as well. But then again, you need to decide which option is the best option for you, considering the time that each of them are going to take. If you couldn't join the previous lectures or previous sessions, please go back to the slides and you have access to slides, you have access to recorded videos, watch them. And if you still have questions, just let me know. The second point was about language level. So if you plan to go to university, you need to make sure that you meet a certain level of language, which should be around this red line here. You should pass this line. That could be through IELTS 6, 6.5. That could be through doing ESOL courses or through doing functional skill courses. So ESOL level 2, functional skills level 2, or IELTS 6, 6.5. So you need your previous qualifications, high school diploma from your country. You need to do some kind of access course or foundation year, and then you need to prepare your language certificate or language qualification as well. So once you have these three documents or these three evidences, then you are kind of halfway through the application process. You have most important piece of evidence that you need to provide to begin your application process. So the language and then educational qualification. But today I am going to, so I also explained the whole process of application for undergraduate. So if you are planning to apply for universities, you need to do it for undergraduate, you need to do it through UCAS. So there is an application process. I explained that. Go back to the previous videos. I shared with you some other videos as well. So if you need more help, you can just go through this video here, just by clicking on this picture and on this link. There is a very good video, 1 hour video, step by step, shows you the application process on UCAS. And then, probably you remember from previous sessions that the deadline, if you plan to go to university next year in September, the deadline is January 2027. So you need to prepare everything that you need until January 2027. We also talked about the postgraduate, and the main point is for if you have an undergraduate, a bachelor degree from your country, then if you add your language qualification to that, which is most of the time IELTS 6.5, some universities 6, some universities 7, but average IELTS 6.5 with an undergraduate degree from your country. These are the main piece of evidence that you need to apply for postgraduate courses. And for postgraduate, most universities, you need to apply directly to the university. So it's not like undergraduate that you need to just go through UCAS. You can apply directly to as many universities as you would like to. So you need to go through the university webpage, finding the application link, and then submit your application to each university. I also explained the process for the funding. If you have refugee status, then you are entitled to student finance. If you don't have that, and if you're still waiting for your asylum claim to be processed, then you don't have access to student finance, but there are several universities offering scholarships to students in asylum seeking stage. And then I explained the process of how to find and how to apply for those scholarships for asylum seeking students. But the point is, you should first apply for university, have your offer, then apply for funding and for a scholarship. So you just go through them, find more information about scholarships, but don't worry about application for scholarships at this moment. If you plan to go to university next year, you should first apply for university by January, February 2027. Then if universities give you the offer, then in March, April, May next year, the application process for Sanctuary Scholarship will start. But today, also, I shared with you a list of different type of organizations available for support with your education, with your employment, with your language learning. And I suggested everyone to become a member of these 4 newsletters, because then every week, every 2 weeks, every month, these organizations, they will send you an email including the latest opportunities, the latest trainings, the latest scholarships for people from refugee and asylum seeking backgrounds. And this week, which is our week 3, I am going to, so this week I'm going to take you through the second pathway that we have, which is about vocational training or job-related training. So the first one, the academic route, is mainly for people who are interested to go to university. So they have some degrees from back home or from somewhere else. They would like to go to higher education. They want to have undergraduate or postgraduate degrees so that they can find jobs that they are interested in and then continue their living. But then not everyone is interested to go to university. And not for every job you need to go to university. There are many jobs that you can have a good life by doing them, and for which you don't need to go to university. There are some other options, which generally speaking, we call them vocational trainings that you can take mainly in college, and with those degrees, you can apply for jobs and you can find the kind of jobs that you are interested in. There are some vocational trainings also that if you have those qualifications, you can use them later to apply for university. So instead of, for instance, instead of doing A levels or instead of doing access courses, many universities they accept vocational trainings such as BTECs. I explained this last week, I think, but I'm going to explain BTEC qualifications more in detail today. So the point is for you to see the options that you have so that then you can think about which one is the best one for you. Because many people they come here and they just think of the only way that they have is just to go to university and have a degree. Whereas even here in the UK, not everyone goes to university. I think around it's I think around 50% or less of students they go to university after finishing their high school. And many of them, or even most of them, they go through vocational training because they are interested in jobs that they don't need to go to university. They don't need a university qualification for applying for those jobs. So have this picture in mind, and when it comes to making decision for yourself, always think about option one here, academic, option two, vocational, and then we will talk about option three, applied or work route, how you can learn by doing, and then how you can start jobs from entry level and then progress in those jobs without going to university or necessarily going to college. So have these three options in mind and don't think that the only thing that you can do is going to university. So basically, to start a job here in the UK, you don't need to be educated in the UK. So we have many people coming to this country every year with work visas. So they have education, they have training, they have experience in other countries. They apply for jobs here in the UK and they come to the country and start working from the beginning. They can work in healthcare, social care, education, industry, and so on and so forth. So, first thing, yes, for many of you, you may need to do some requalification, some extra trainings, go to university. But there are many people I've worked with in the past. They are good. If you have a degree, if you have work experience, if you can speak English, don't need to go to university or college because just because you are refugee or asylum seeker. Okay, if you have right to work in this country and if you are confident enough that I have qualification, I speak English and I have experience, I can apply for accounting jobs, or I can apply for social care jobs, or I can apply for any other kind of jobs. Go and apply. Don't think that, oh, I'm a refugee, I'm asylum seeker, I should go to university or to college. Yes, if you need to prepare yourself to learn more and to train yourself, you need, but that's not the case for everyone. So you need these three: right to work, and refugees have right to work. Some asylum seekers they have right to work as well. So if you have right to work, you have can speak English at the level required for that job, and then you have qualification and experience in that job. Feel free to start looking for jobs and applying for jobs. And when I send you the slides, you will see some websites. So here in the UK, I explain it next week, the job application process. But most of the time, jobs are online. You need to find a job, you need to apply for that online and going through the application process, which I explain later. But then, if you don't have qualification needed, or if you don't have experience needed, or if you don't have the language level needed, you need to go through a course or a training. That could be university. We explained last week, that could be vocational training. or job-related or skill-related training, which I explain this week. So there are different ways of having work experience. So a very common one, which I'm sure that many of you are familiar with that, or you are involved in doing that, is doing voluntary work. So most of the time, when you apply for a job, they want to see that you have some work experience. Even sometimes when you apply for university, for instance, if you apply for nursing or care or healthcare or social care related courses, they want you to show that you have some level of experience in doing those jobs. And here in the UK, in many cases, the students, they prepare evidence by doing voluntary work. So they go to a community center, they go to a hospital, they go to a GP practice, or any other place relevant to those jobs. They apply for volunteering, and then through doing like 200 hours, 100 hours, 50 hours, 10 hours, 1 month, 2 months of practice as a volunteer, they provide evidence. They have like a reference letter that they can add to their application or to their CV and apply for those jobs. So, the good point about voluntary work is most of the time, organizations, they provide voluntary work opportunity even to asylum seekers. So you don't need to have, in all cases, right to work. Many charities, many community centers, they accept people still waiting for their asylum claims to work as volunteers. So always think about voluntary work, especially if you're beginner, if you just been here for a few months, you learn work experience as well as you have opportunity to practice your English. So you practice your English in work environment, which means you are going to learn English, which is good for work. Because if you stay in a kind of non-work environment, if you go to supermarket, the language that you learn there is about buying fruits or buying meat. But then if you want to learn the language of working, voluntary work is the best, one of the best opportunities to learn the language of workplace. Again, when I send you these slides and you click on each of these links, you will find opportunities for volunteering. So if you want to do voluntary work in NHS or voluntary work in any other sector, just you can click on one of these links. I'm going to show you very quickly if it pops up. Okay, here. So clicking on any of those links, it takes you to a page. And in that page, you can find a voluntary opportunity in the area that you live. So here, find your local center, local voluntary center, and then based on your postcode, as you can see, there are tens of them in every corner of the country. So for instance, if you are in, I'm not sure, in London, in volunteer center in somewhere in London, there are many of them in London, you can then go to their website here and then find out more about the opportunities that they have. If you are in, let's see, in Leicester, then this is the address for Leicester and web page for Leicester. So you can go through this web page and find out more about the opportunities there. And there are different websites for different organizations. So if you're interested in doing voluntary work, these are good sources. So again, here is about voluntary work for NHS, especially if you're interested in healthcare, social care, and medicine and jobs or courses relevant to medicine. This is a good place to start. Voluntary work for NHS. There are other opportunities, traineeship and apprenticeship, which I'm going to explain later. But then the point is, when you do vocational training here, such as BTECs, they are level 3. And if you decide later that, oh, now I want to go to university, you can still use them for university applications as well. So you do a course, you learn a kind of a skill or job to do, but at the same time, they give you a qualification, a level 3 qualification. So at the end, you can decide if you want to apply for jobs, or if you have changed your mind, or if your life situation has changed and now you want to go to university, then you can use your BTEC to apply for universities similar to other level 3 qualifications such as A levels. So that's kind of a good point, an advantage of doing BTECs. Just okay, so when I say vocational qualifications, these are the most common types of job-related or vocational trainings. Just have these names in mind, and then I'll explain each of them one by one. So apprenticeship, BTEC, and technical qualifications. So the first one, apprenticeship, is a combination of paid work and training. The second one, BTEC diplomas, is a combination of training and education. And then we have technical qualification, which is just training. So the first one is apprenticeship. I'll explain the differences later again, but for you to understand how these are different, apprenticeship is you find a work, many industries, many workplaces, many employers, they have apprenticeship opportunities. So they want someone to hire and to train that person to do a job. So you will be trained, but it's a job and you will be paid as well. So you don't need to pay for your training. You work, you get payment, and you will be trained. And at the end, you will have an apprenticeship qualification, which you can continue applying for jobs with that qualification. For BTEC is similar. So it's job, it's training, and it's education, but then it's not paid. So you don't do a job. You're just getting the training and the education, but it's not paid. You need to pay for it, or you need to use finance to pay for that. And then we have technical qualification, which is just training. So you don't have college and work related training. You just go to work related training and you get just training for those skills. So have these 3 types in mind, and then I'm going to explain each of them one by one. There is a question about, are there any volunteer opportunities for me in physiotherapy? Well, that's a very good question. So most of the time, you will not find voluntary opportunity as a physiotherapist, okay? Because these are kind of very sensitive jobs, and someone should take responsibility for that. But if you go to a physiotherapy clinic, many of them, they may have voluntary opportunity for you in that clinic, not as a physiotherapist, because for doing that, you need to have training, you need to have education, you need to have license and permission. But then they may give you some other tasks to do as a volunteer. So you can work as a receptionist, you can work alongside the physiotherapist, supporting them in doing day-to-day jobs, communicate or helping patients, helping people who come for the service, and so on and so forth. So in many occasions, in many cases, in many industries, yes, there are voluntary opportunities, but it may not be. So if you go to a GP practice, they may have voluntary opportunities, but not as a GP, because GP needs training, qualification, responsibility, and so on and so forth. But then they may have voluntary opportunities as a receptionist or working with patients or helping or supporting patients and so on and so forth. So it's always good to find some places near you live and then going to those places or writing to them or emailing them or making a phone call saying that I would like to apply for a course in physiotherapy. Is there any opportunity for voluntary work in your place? Because then for applying for jobs or universities, you don't need to say, I work as a physiotherapist. You can say, I work 6 months, 2 months, 3 months as a volunteer in a physiotherapy clinic. So they don't expect you to be the physiotherapist. They want you to show that you have experience of working in that environment. It's always good to find some places near you live and just communicating with them. This is what I want. Is there an opportunity? And then they can give you more specific information. Before that, I want to introduce you to a very good website called National Carrier Service. So most of the time when you send me an email, and some of you sent me an email and I sent you an email back, most of the time when I don't know about a job or I don't know about a qualification or I don't know about an application process, this is the website that I use to find information and answer your questions. I even sent some links to from National Carrier Service to some of you. So one of the best, I would say, websites that you can find for information and advice and guidance. So first of all, it's a government website. So I can say every information that you find there is reliable. So sometimes there are some websites that you don't know who is responsible for, but this one is by government. And most of the time, and almost always, the information that you find there is reliable and it's up to date. It's recent. So on the website here, there are 3 main sections. Take a skills assessment. If we have time, I'll explain it next week. But for some of you, you don't know what are the jobs that are more suitable to your personal situation or personal interest or qualification and experience. So you don't know, should I apply for business or should I apply for management or should I apply for accounting or should I apply to become a nurse? So if you have those kind of questions in mind, this test is a very good test to take. It doesn't take that long. It probably could be 5 to 10 minutes. You answer a series of questions, and then it gives you a very specific advice about, okay, based on your situation, these are the jobs that you are more likely to be successful in. So probably you are not the best person for nursing. It's better for you if you continue with business or marketing or engineering and so on. So this one, the first one, take a skills assessment. It's about what are the best choices for you. And then if you decide to continue, it gives you the roadmap. Okay, if you would like to continue in computer engineering, these are the things that you need to do. And it gives you more information about how to continue that pathway. The second one is about explore careers, which I explain later. But then the third one is about find a course. If you are looking for any course for ESOL, for BTECs, and so on and so forth, this is the best place to, or one of the best places to look for that. So you can come, and I think I showed this before about some other courses, but then here you just can put like BTEC, and then it gives you all the BTEC courses available. So in business, in computing, in all the BTEC courses, and in all the cities and towns across the country. Then from the left-hand side, you can filter for what kind of BTECs: online, classroom, full-time, part-time, daytime, evening time, and then level 1, 2, or whatever level. And then you can filter it based on your postcode as well. So if you want them to be only on London, just go for London. And then based on the date, then next 3 months, the courses that are going to start in the next 3 months, or if you are thinking about later, courses that are going to start in the next 6 months or in the next year. And based on that, you can just, for instance, if you are looking for BTEC in sports in London, and if you are around Cranford Community College, then you click on this, and then you will find all the information that you need about the application process, the cost, where it's going to start, and everything about that one. So in that sense, this one is one of the best sources of information if you are looking for a course. And I'm talking about not university courses, because university courses, UCAS, I showed that before, but for vocational qualifications, this National Career Service is a good place to start with. But then the one that I'm going to focus on now is Explore Careers. Because most of the time you have a job in mind because that was your job back in your country, or you have some qualifications that make you suitable for that job, or this is the job that you would like to do for the rest of your life. But you don't know how to start preparing, what kind of qualifications you need, what kind of university courses, or what kind of college courses, vocational training you need to take to prepare yourself for those jobs. Also, some of you don't know how many different jobs do exist in one area, because you can think about nursing, but nursing is not just one job. So if you come here and then just typing nurse, then it starts showing you that there are 10, 20, 30 different job titles and different roles at different levels in nursing. So we have adult nursing, we have public health nurse, we have nurse associate, we have nursery assistant, occupational health nurse, and so on and so forth. So then you will see that you don't have just one option that I want to become a nurse. You'd see that you have probably 20 different jobs in nursing, which gives you more options. So you have for just for searching nurse, you have 43 jobs in nursing. So one is nurse, the nurse that all of us know. But if you don't have qualification to start as a nurse, you can start as a nursing associate, and then you can improve, you can make progress, you can take some courses and become to finally become a nurse. You can start as a school nurse or as a healthcare assistant. Or maybe you don't want to be nurse in a hospital, you want to become a nurse in dental sector, district nurse, veterinary nurse, mental health nurse. So don't just think as like management as just a management job. So if you search for management, again, we have probably hundreds of jobs under management, which gives you opportunity to start thinking more specifically about this is what I want to do. In fact, I don't want to be a nurse in a hospital. I want to be a nurse in school, which means you need to do a different kind of training, different kind of preparation for that, which helps you to plan for that specific job. We have a question from Soso. No, BTEC is different, and I'm going to explain the difference in a few moments. So now, for instance, you would like to do, let's say, nursing, like become a mental health nurse, for instance. Let me find one of the opportunities for Healthcare assistant, veterinary. So, for instance, you would like to become a mental health nurse in future. You come here, you click on that. So it starts with giving you some ideas about the job itself. So an average mental health nurse, a qualified mental health nurse, they earn between 31,000 to 74,000 a year, depending on their experience. So this is the kind of income that you can think of in few years. So if you do your training, if you do your education, and if you find a job, you will start from £30,000, and over time, as you find more experience, you can increase your salary to 47. So it gives you some ideas about the range of salary for that job. Then you can say, oh, this is not the kind of salary that I want. Then you can think about other kind of jobs. So for a full-time job that you work in 37 to 40 hours, this is the salary that you can think of. And then most of the times you may need to work bank holidays, evenings, weekends, because it's shift job. It's not 9 to 5 weekdays. So then when you scroll down, there is a section about how to become a mental health nurse. And this is the question that many of you keep sending me emails about. How to become this? How I want to become this? How? And if you have that question, this is the best place to find your answer. So I want to become a computer engineer. How to become? Go to the website, search for computer engineer, and then check how to become. I'm going to show that to you in a few moments. The next one is what it takes. So it's about what kind of skills you need for that job. The next one is about what you will do. It's about the work itself, because sometimes you don't know what kind of tasks and activities you need to do on a day-to-day basis as a nurse. And then the progress. So if I become a nurse, is there any opportunity to make progress in my career or not? And then the last one is about current opportunities, the job opportunities, as well as the training and education opportunities. I'm going to take you through each of them one by one. So how to become a mental health nurse? The answer is very similar to, let me make it, okay. So the answer is similar to what I've been explaining to you in the last few weeks. So you have an option to go to university. Also, you have an option to do vocational training or apprenticeship. Also, there are some special courses. If you don't want to go to university or apprenticeship, there are some special courses. So from the beginning, you know that it's clear to you that I have three options for mental health nurse. First, university, second, apprenticeship, third, courses. Then it explains each of them one by one. So if you would want to become a mental health nurse, the first option is university. You need to do a mental health nursing course in university applied by Nursing and Midwifery Council. Degrees in mental health nursing and social work. But then you need to have these modules in your course. So you need to have a health-related subject, psychology, life science, and social work. So this is the university course, and usually it takes 3 years. So I explained that in the last 2 weeks. One option is going to university, doing a university course about that, but then you need to make sure for mental health nurse, you need to have these in your program, so these modules. If you go for computer engineering also, it gives you the same information. These are entry requirements. You need GCSE, A levels, or equivalent. We explained that. You need, if you don't have it, you can do foundational year, you can do access courses or other alternatives. And you need the language level as well, including the English and math and science. So you need to show that your English is above level 2 or IELTS 6.5. It gives you information about entry requirements, the equivalent. So if you don't have A-level or GCSEs, here it gives you what other qualifications you can have. For instance, for level 3, you can have A-level, you can have advanced apprenticeship, you can have BTECs, you can have access to higher education. And then again, I explain all of these equivalent similar degrees in one level in the last 2 weeks. Student finance, you will find more information about the student finance available, the entry requirement for university courses, and everything that you need. So that was the option 1. The second one, it gives you information about, okay, if you don't want to go to university, you can do apprenticeship. And you need to do apprenticeship level 6 degree if you want to become it. So you don't need to start from level 6. You can start from level 3, 4, 5, and then with level 6 to become a nurse. And it can take, depending on your level, not always, but depending on your level, it can take up to 4 years. But remember that apprenticeship is paid. So it's not like you study 4 years without and spending money. You work for 4 years, and every year you get money paid, and then every year you improve in your apprenticeship. For instance, you start with apprenticeship level 3, next year level 4, next year level 5, next year level 6. But every year you work as an apprentice nurse, you increase your salary, your apprenticeship money, and then you learn more, you have more training and more experience. You have and similarly, you have entry requirement for apprenticeship, which is usually lower than, again, depending on your level, could be lower than entry requirement for university. And as I said, it says it's always good to do some voluntary work because you need that as a work experience to apply. Most of the time, if you can show that you did some voluntary work relevant to that job, so you don't need to have voluntary work as a nurse, but you can show voluntary work in a hospital as a receptionist or any other role as a volunteer. So if you want to have some more experience working in healthcare, you need some voluntary work, you can go to these websites, which I shared some of them with you. So here it explains to you how to find work experience if you are interested in nursing, mental health nursing, medicine, pharmacy, anything healthcare related. So more information is here. And then it gives you options about other routes, and then registration and so on. So then the second part, so that was the first one. The second section is about what you will do. So these are the day-to-day tasks of a nurse, a mental health nurse, and you can find that information about any other job. Sometimes you know that I want to become an accountant or I want to become a mechanical engineer, but you don't fully know what are the tasks that you need to do every day. So these are the information about what you will do. These are the skills and knowledge that you need to learn and train. If you become a mental health nurse, then these are the options that you have to progress in your career. So after a few years, you can become a specialist or become a clinical team leader or become a manager in your field. So it's not the end of your job journey. You start as a mental health nurse, but you have good opportunities to progress. There are some jobs that you don't have many opportunities to progress, but most of the time in these kind of professional, highly skilled works, you always have options to make progress if you, when you have more experience. And then the last one, which is again very important, is about, okay, now I'm decided to become a nurse, to become a mental health nurse, or I have decided to apply for a job in mental health nursing, Then it gives you information about, okay, if you want apprenticeship, you can find them here. And these are some of the apprenticeship that are available at the moment. These are not all, but some. So if you want to go to university, access to nursing or access to nursing online. So apprenticeship and access courses and job opportunities. The reason that I show you this is many of the questions that you are looking for someone like me to answer, you can find all of them in one page here in National Career Service. So take some time, 1 hour, half an hour, just to search for the jobs that you are interested in and go through that. And it takes you a step by step and it tells you everything you need. And you'll end with, okay, if you would like to apply, these are the jobs, these are the opportunities that you have. And you can do it. I don't have every information about every course that you are interested in, but all the information that you need is there. So make sure that you go to the website, to the National Career Service, you go to Explore Careers, and then you find out more about the jobs that you're interested in. Then you'll realize, okay, I need to go to university, but sometimes you'll realize, no, the university is not the best option for me. I can do BTECs, I can do apprenticeship, I even can do voluntary work and then apply for that job. And then for each of those options, you have a link for more information. I'm going to start. Okay, so now we know the National Career Service, and this is the gateway to your career information. Most of the information that you need are there. It's step-by-step designed to help you answer your questions and find your way. Going to university, going to vocational training, starting with volunteering, applying for jobs, and the information is provided by government, so it's new and it's reliable. And I explained all of this already on the web page. You can assess your skills. And I suggest everyone, when I send you the slides, make sure that you do the test. That's fun. And then you are going to learn more about yourself. In fact, just going back to the question that Wilfred asked, if you do the test, it tells you your soft skills. It says, oh, you are a good person for this job because you have time management, you have teamwork, or any other kind of skills. So again, the test and the test results are a good way of understanding your skills, your transferable skills even more better. It can help you find the jobs that you want. It helps you to find more information about various options, various pathways that you have, as well as the opportunities, the courses that you have if you would like to train yourself and apply for those jobs. Okay, so just making sure that no one is in the waiting room. Good. Okay, so now let's go back to the three main types of vocational trainings that I started with: apprenticeship, BTECs, and NVQs, National Vocational Qualifications. So again, when I send you the slides, you have these links for more information. And it gives you, each of those links, they take you to a page where you find more information about what are they and how to apply, and then the application process. So I'm not going to go through traineeship because traineeship is mainly for young. It's very similar to apprenticeship, but it's mainly for people between age 16 to 24. So if you are in that age range and you're looking for starting to learn about specific jobs, traineeship is for you, but I spend more time on apprenticeship. So apprenticeship is a job training combined with classroom learning to become a master of a trade. So for instance, you would like to work in engineering, mechanical engineering. you will find an apprenticeship opportunity, and most of the time, the apprenticeship opportunity is with the industry. So there is a business, there is a factory, there is a manufacturer, and they have apprenticeship opportunities. They are looking for some apprentices. They hire you as an apprentice. They give you your money because you work, but the payment is below the minimum wage for the first year. But then every year they increase your apprenticeship salary. But the reason that the payment is lower because they give you education as well. So, and you don't need to pay for that. And most of the time, you work for 3 days in the factory, in the business, in their office, in their building, and then you go to college for 1 or 2 days doing some courses relevant to that. So you do some, I'm not sure, math or physics or chemistry or whatever courses needed for that job. And for that college course, you don't pay. So that's basically the apprenticeship, a combination of 1 or 2 days of going to college and being trained, educated, going to classrooms, and then 3 days of or 4 days of working, the actual work. You every day, every morning you wake up, you go to your workplace, and you'll be trained to do a particular job, and you'll be paid for that. You don't need to pay. And then every year, combination of this training, college training and job training, you go to the next level, depending on where you start. If you start with apprenticeship level 2, and then you go to level 3, you go to level 4, you go to level 5. So, as I said, it's paid. There is no age restriction. And most of the time, it's not restricted. So many people start apprenticeship without without finishing A levels, because you can start from the level that you are in. You don't, for university, you should start from level 4. No, you cannot start from level 2. But for apprenticeship, you can start from level 2 and then 3 and then 4. And so the requirements are easier to meet compared to going to university. So you can start from intermediate, which is similar to GCSE, then go to A-level advanced, then go to higher, and then go to degree apprenticeships. If you are looking for more information, the links are there. But in terms of finding apprenticeship, let me see if the link works or not. Here, again, the link takes you to the government website on where to find and how to find apprenticeship. So you need to be 16 or over. Also, not in education. When you search for that, so at the moment, as you can see, there are over 10,000 apprenticeship opportunities on the government website. There are many more on internet, on companies' website and somewhere else. So these are not all the opportunities, apprenticeship opportunities, but on the government website, we currently have over 10,000. One thing to have in mind, unfortunately, because it's a work, it's a job, you need to have job permit for that. So if you are still waiting for your asylum claim, you are restricted. You cannot apply for apprenticeship. But please have that in mind. In few weeks, few months time, when you have your refugee status, then apprenticeship is always a good opportunity for different reasons. If you don't want to go to university, if you don't want to pay for university, and if you are interested in jobs that are easier to do with apprenticeship, so that's the better option for you. So for instance, I check for, let's see, computer. Let's see what kind of apprenticeships we have in computer. It's a little slow today, so let's see if it finds anything for us. Okay, when I search for computer, it brings up 3 opportunities relevant to computer. So business administration apprenticeship in HR team, human resource management, and it's in Staffordshire. It starts 31st of March, end of this month, and it's level 3. And this is the salary. So you get this amount of money, but have in mind that this is the money that you get for 2-3 days of working and training at the same time, and then 2-3 days or 2 days of going to college. And then every year, it increases when you go from level 3 to level 4, and then you can you get to the level of the when you finish, you apply for the actual job. So we have marketing executive apprentice. It's level 3. It's in Worcester. Starts April, and again it's level 3, but the payment is 16,000. And then the last one is IT support engineer. It's in somewhere and starts in April, and then the payment is 19,000. So as you can see, all of them are companies. These are actual employers. It's not college, it's not university. So let's see, like for this one, marketing executive apprentice, what are the entry requirements? So requirements, because it's level 3, you need to have a level 2 qualification, which is GCSE high school diploma. Okay, so if you have level 2, as you can see, it says here, if you have other relevant qualification and industry experience, the apprenticeship can be adjusted to reflect what you already know. So it's not just you need to have GCSE in English and math. If you have a high school diploma, or if you do functional skills level 2, then they can consider that as well. But the most important thing, as again going back to the question of Wilfried, they want to see that you have these soft skills: communication, IT, attention to detail, organization, creativity, initiative, and so on. So 1 or 2 qualifications, but mostly about soft skills. Then when it comes to here, if you show that I worked as a volunteer somewhere, that can improve your chance of being accepted for this apprenticeship. So, and you will find information about the employer, and then there is one section about after the apprenticeship, you have the opportunity to progress to level 6. And the company, they are happy to consider that for the right person. If you show that I'm a good person, they're going to keep you working there until level 6. So the point is, these are good opportunities, and every year, thousands of people, instead of going to university, they go to apprenticeship, they learn a job, they start that job, and then they continue progressing in that job. I think we have a couple of questions. Let me see. Yes, so some asylum seekers, they have work permit, but unfortunately, as you mentioned, that's limited to some particular jobs, not to many of the jobs that we have apprenticeship for. And then, to be honest, when it comes to application, they want to train someone who they know that is going to stay here. So if you still have uncertain immigration situation, they are not going to probably they give opportunity to someone who they know that is going can stay in the country for 5-10 years. Because what is the point of training someone who may not have the stay in the country? So I would say wait until you have your status and then apply for apprenticeship. Yes, so immigration salary list. Unfortunately, those are very specific jobs. and most of the time they are not apprentice jobs, because apprentice jobs are, as you've noticed, they are kind of low paid jobs because you are in training and you go to college as well. So that was all about apprenticeship, a combination of working for a business. They train you, they send you to college to do some courses as well. They pay you a salary, and every year they kind of, you go to the next level, and then once you finish, you can stay in the same company, or you can go and apply for jobs, or you can use your apprenticeship. If you have advanced apprenticeship here, you can use it to apply for some university courses as well. But the second main one is BTech. The main difference is BTech is not like apprenticeship, is not a job. It's not paid. Someone needs to pay for that. It's even you, or you use, similar to university, that you use a student finance. You can use finance to pay for your BTech. And it's not in a workplace, it's in college. So these are the main differences. It's not a job, it's not paid, it's in college. Apprenticeship is a job, it's paid, is in a workplace, you work for a company. The BTEC, BTEC, stands for Business and Technology Education Council. And we have over 2,000 qualifications, BTEC qualifications in 16 different sectors. And most of the time, many universities, they accept BTEC as similar to level 3 courses, and you can use them to apply for university as well as for jobs. The point about BTEC is you need to know which industry you are interested in, and then doing a BTEC in that in particular industry. So, for instance, if you are interested in jobs in business, you should do a BTEC relevant to business, because if you do a BTEC in business, you cannot find a job in ICT with that, or you cannot find a job in engineering. So from the beginning, you should decide the jobs that I'm interested in are about media or engineering or hospitality or sport or travel. Because if you do a BTEC in number 4 or number 5 here on the list, then that degree doesn't give you any chance of applying for jobs in number 13 or number 14. That's the main point to have in mind when applying for BTECs. But under each of them, like for number 4 childcare, there are tens of different BTECs in childcare. And then we have different levels, similar to any other course here in this country. Everything is based on levels. So you can start with BTEC first, from entry to level 2, BTEC Nationals from level 3, and then we have level up until level 5 as well. So these are different levels. So based on your qualification, you can start with entry or level 1 or level 2, level 4, level 3, 4, 5. And as I said, you can use BTEC level 2 to apply for university as well. Again, for you just to have in mind, BTEC is here. BTEC first is GCSE, and BTEC diploma is level 3, similar to A levels. So that's why you can use, many universities accept it when you apply for university courses. As I said, BTECs are not free of charge. Someone should pay for that. But similar to a student finance, if you don't have income, if you cannot pay for it, then we have 2 types of financial support: learner support and advanced learner loan. So you can apply for one of these to pay for your vocational qualification, specifically BTEC in our case. If you are thinking of how to find a BTEC, these are some of the pages that you can use to find a BTEC. So let's try one of them. Again, our friend National Carrier Service. You put BTech here, and it shows you all the BTech courses at the moment. So at the moment, they have over 9,600 BTech courses in different levels, different subjects, different topics. You need to decide which area you are more interested in. Is it a sport or management or IT or health? And then you find a BTech and you apply for that. So for instance, if you're looking for a BTech, let's make it level 2. So these are BTech level 2. So we have business BTech in Manchester, for instance, at the moment in Parswood High School. And if you click on that, it's level 2, it's full-time, it's free of charge, and it shows you entry requirement as well. Because it's level 2, you need some level 1 basic college entry requirements. So you need just level 1, which is basic math, English, and so on. And then you can go to the course itself and find more information there. So again, the point that I mentioned about National Carrier Service is one of the best places to find vocational job-related training in. And then so we started with apprenticeship. The second one was BTech. The third one is technical qualification, or mostly called NVQs, National Vocational Qualifications. So here the difference is, for apprenticeship and for BTech, we had a combination of going to college and job and training, both of them. But here we don't have the college part. You don't go to any classroom. You just go to a training center and you get training about a very specific job. So from the beginning, you need to know what is that job that you would like to do. Because the training is like becoming a plumber, becoming a construction worker, becoming a van driver, becoming all these technical jobs, becoming an electrician, a gas engineer. So if these are the kind of jobs that you're interested in, technical jobs, a healthcare worker or a care worker, these are all the jobs that you can start learning and doing by doing a short, like 6-month NVQ. If you know the job that you are interested in, and we have different levels for NVQs as well, and you can start with from whatever level that you are in, and then you can make progress as you learn more and you become more skillful in that particular job. So the difference between BTech and NVQ is BTech is about a sector and it's about learning and going to college education. But NVQ is not about a sector, it's about one specific job, and it's all just training. There is no classroom education. It's just you go to a warehouse, you go to a training center, and you have training about that particular job. Again, National Carrier Service is a good place to search for. I think they have something for NVQs as well. Let's check. National Carrier Service. Find courses. I think if you put NVQ here, it should give us something. Yep. So at the moment they have 1,800 something NVQ courses. So just to show you different type of NVQs, like in barbering, if you would like to become a barber, a hairdresser, I think the first page is just about hairdressing and barbering because it's alphabetically ordered. In nail services like beauty, engineering and maintenance, if you're interested in that. Again, because it's in plastering, construction work, beauty therapy. So the point is just to show you what are NVQs if you would like to have, you don't want to go to university, you don't need to go to university. You have a job that you are interested in. You want to start a living. You want to start making money. NVQ course is short term, 6 months, 9 months, and based on that, you will be trained to do a job. No, BTECs are not paid. Apprenticeship is paid. BTEC and NVQ, no, they are not paid. And then again, going back to the point of voluntary work is always a very good option. Even if you study, even when you have other jobs, doing some voluntary work is always good to add to your CV and to your profile and to your experience, because employers, they appreciate the value of voluntary work. It shows that you are really interested in that job. Again, so apprenticeship is paid for NVQ, and for BTEC you need to pay. But if you cannot afford it, support is always there. You can use learner support. When I send you the slide, you can click on that, or you can use advanced learner loan. And there are some other sources of funding, but the main point is, if you are decided to go through a training, vocational training, don't be worried about money. There are different sources that they can help you fund your training, your study, if you cannot afford it. So money shouldn't be an issue. I'm going to stop recording for a few moments.